Hi guys, welcome back to Expert Maintenance. Today we're going to talk about boxing in an RSJ. Now, there are a number of different ways to cover up an RSJ, ranging from using plasterboard, wood or plasticized laminate. In my experience, I found a better method. I like to use an old cardboard box and some glue. If you don't have glue, don't panic. You can use some loose paper clips. Just lodge them in. First, I need to hammer in some noggins. That's not your head, by the way. I tried that last week on my first practice run and it hurt. I like to use raw carrots for my noggins. Buy a 1 kilogram bag of carrot noggins and chop them height-wise to size. They need to be at least 3/4 of an inch wide for stability, so don't buy baby carrots. They also need to be sufficiently robust, so use nice pre-ripe carrots. Don't boil them. What we'll do is, I've measured up my RSJ to 140 millimeters. Just going to measure that up and give it a mark in. Nice little Sharpie. There we go. Perfect. Don't have to worry about being too perfect. As long as you've got the right mark in there, all good. Let's use a nice sharp knife. You can always use a nice sharp kitchen knife, or you can use a scalpel or a Stanley knife, whatever you've got to hand. Give it a nice trim. Ready to go. Okay, so we've got our noggins ready and start noggining. Now, because we're using raw carrots, we can make sure that we can put them in nice and securely. Feed them in. You don't want them in too loose, you don't want them wobbly or anything like that. Make sure they're nice and tight. Nice little knock. That's in, perfect. Now usually you would set carrot noggins and normal noggins at the usual 400 centers. Now, because these have got a very high tensile strength, you don't need to go that detailed. You can just go to 600 centers, save a couple of carrots. Once you've done one, batten all the way across. Make sure you start at the wall, get your centers right. 600 centers. So especially if you're going to be using plasterboard, you want to make sure that the edges are nice and tight. So we can see we've got our noggins in place. 600 centers. All nice and tight. Now I started off in the far corner and then 600 centers between the middles. The reason for that is, of course, you're going to have your plasterboard or cardboard box nicely square up to the edge, and then you're going to go straight into that. And then if you're cutting your your plasterboard in half, then you'll be having 600 mil, so that gives you the 600 centers. Nice little overlap on the noggins, and then you won't go wrong there. The other thing to think about is how will you fix your bottom cardboard box to the bottom. Now you can use the standard 50 by 25 mil batten, and if you're going to do that, just make sure that you've got a nice little bit of overhang there, just so the bottom of the batten is flush with the bottom of the RSJ. And then you can drive your cardboard box straight into the batten. Again, don't worry if you don't have any plasterboard cardboard box screws. You can use a couple of paper clips and that's fine. In our next video, we'll talk about boarding over the carrot noggins, making sure how you can do that safely. For any more tips, subscribe to my channel and sign up to my Patreon. I need beans. Any questions, pop them in the comments below. See you on the next one.